Hey everybody, I'm doing this video today by special request. I can't lie, it's not something that I really ever planned on doing or ever even thought about making a video of, but I had several people tell me and ask me if I could do this. And at the same time, it probably would be good for me because every time I talk about anything in the military, I start getting really frustrated and irritated and kind of worked up and upset. So I wanted to talk today about my worst 4th of July ever in Afghanistan, and my worst 4th of July ever. When this day did happen, it was July 4th, 2013. At the end of that day, I wrote a email to my dad, and I wrote an email to my pastor. I was trying to just seek some, wisdom and some way to handle and understand, what was going on. But I'll just start off this story and tell you what was going on. And if I start getting on a rant about the military, you just have to forgive me, because it'd probably be better that I get it out of my system. And maybe the more I talk about it, the less frustrated I'll get. But anyways, it was July 4th, 2013. We were in the west side of Afghanistan in a little place that doesn't even exist anymore. It was a very small little FOB, or forward operating base. And we were put there as a medevac unit. I was a crew chief in the Black Hawk, along with the medic and the 2 pilots. And we were there to do medevac. Well, we were there that day, and everything was calm. Farah wasn't really it had its crazy times. It started out normal, and until about 1100 or 11 o'clock a.m., then everything broke loose. A 9-line dropped, which is when you get a medevac, that's what it's called. A 9-line drops. They give you 9 lines of information about what's going on. That dropped, and everything broke loose, basically. So the medevac came across that it was 3 out of 4 American soldiers. And so that, that right away becomes a serious deal. Not that you take any less for granted when they're Afghans or locals, because you care, about them, because if it's kids or people that are innocent, you want to help them. But when you see that it's your own soldiers, guys in the Army, guys in the Marines, or, SF or Navy SEALs, you jump right on it. The 4th man was actually an Afghan interpreter, or a Terp, call him, and he was with them when everything went down. One of the patients was a U.S. soldier, like I said, and he was only 24 years old. And what happened was he got shot basically in the armpit, kind of behind his body armor, and it went in underneath the body armor into his chest, basically direct entrance into his lungs and his heart. And when they came in, the pilots were yelling over the radio, hot offload, hot offload. So we knew that usually you shut the helicopter off and then you get the patient out because it's not too dramatic or tragic. But this one was like, when they landed, I could see that the medics were already doing chest compressions on the guy, our young guy, only 24 years old. And when we opened the door to unload him, I realized it was somebody I knew. I had talked to him in the gym working out. I had conversations with him, and it just kind of threw me back, He was unconscious. They were doing chest compressions. He was a combat engineer, so like I said, he got in a little small firefight, got shot behind the body armor. Took him over to the FST, the trauma center, and 20 minutes later, he passed away. And I can't express to you, I've experienced death in my life. I've went to funerals. I've known people that were very close, and it was very disheartening and crushing when you know somebody that dies and you know this person. But something was majorly different about that day that I've never experienced before. That was the first time I had been involved with somebody that actually died, and known them and friends with them, and had in the chow hall with him, worked out with them in the gym, and now this person 20 minutes later, after you see him fighting for the life, is dead. And I can say it was really one of the saddest days of my life, and it's one of the saddest things I've ever experienced. But here is the part that makes me the sickest of the story, and this is where I start getting emotional and I'm frustrated, and let's say ticked off, to really be honest with you, is the task force at this time They knew about this for 45 minutes and did not launch us. We're ready to launch, which we call Redcon 1, meaning you're ready to take off the ground. The crew's in, everybody's ready to go. You're loaded, you're ready to take off and do this mission. We're ready and loaded in 7 minutes. Our helicopters, chase and lead helicopters, sat on the ground at 100% RPM, ready to take off for 20 minutes like that. Not including the other time that it took to say, okay, you guys can go. I mean, think about this. We're talking about an American life here, and this is the story people don't know. And whatever, I may get some flack from this. I may get a phone call. I may get an email from somebody. I don't care. I'm not in the military anymore anyway, so I really don't give a care. People don't know this. People are not aware of the stupid political garbage that takes place behind the scenes. Nothing more does a family member want to know that when their son or daughter is deployed over in Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever it may be, the medevac unit, the medics are able to go out immediately and help. But when you know that your son or your daughter's out there bleeding or dying, bleeding out for 20, 45 minutes to an hour because some stinking lieutenant colonel will not give the permission because all he cares about is career progression, and all he cares about is his little helicopters not getting hurt because he has to write some report up saying why this helicopter got bullet holes in it, or why this helicopter get a ding or break the landing gear. That's all they care about. They don't care about the soldiers, the ones that fight on the battlefield. And I guarantee you, if enough people see this, and enough people that were over there and seeing, they're going to see the exact same thing. And I know not all units were like this, but the task force commander at this time, literally, I can't lie, I had to literally deal with, and this isn't the only story. I'm involved in this one, but not as much as some other stories that I could tell if this even is worth watching to anybody. If it is, comment below and say, you want to see more. If not, then I won't do no more of these. But it just makes you sick to your stomach, This isn't the only time this happened. It happened multiple times. Like I said, I have plenty more stories I could tell. This is just the first one that I thought of. Looking at my journal that I wrote during this day, because I kind of vented in my paperwork, at the end of the day, just to kind of let it out. But one of the things is the lieutenant colonel took 45 minutes to approve the mission to go save 3 U.S. soldiers. It's like, what is there to approve? What is there to prove? Like, what's your risk versus reward here? An American soldier, a human life over a stupid helicopter, all because it's about money, It's an American soldier. What is there to think about? And, I wrote down, I'm furious. I'm saddened beyond measure that, like I said, some mother out there is going to find out that her son died. And they're going to write a story that he was a hero. And he was a hero. He was a hero. And we can't get a helicopter out there to pick him up fast enough. The mom's not going to know about that. The father's not going to know. Yes, their son was a hero and he died with honor and he died with a medal. But when he could have possibly been saved because we could have launched in 7 minutes versus 45, that's a major problem in our military system. And the other issues too, that they have to fill these risk assessments out. Like I said, fill it out. Let me tell you this. There isn't one pilot in my unit, in my little group, my team that was there. There was only like 25 of us. There wasn't one person there, pilot, co-pilot, medic, or crew chief, that wasn't 100% willing to risk their lives to save somebody. I'm telling you right now, there's no one. There was no one there that said, I don't, it's risky. But the stinking brass is up there saying, can we risk this helicopter for this soldier and these 4? It's like, that shouldn't be their choice, If we have 4 people, 2 pilots and 2 crew members that say they want to go out there, that's their decision. What's the helicopter have to do with it? We waste millions of dollars on this new invention that never gets used, but we can't sacrifice one Black Hawk, which nothing would even happen to it. And I can't lie, I shed some tears multiple times that day because it's like I'm not trying to say this to be dramatic. I'm not trying to say this. Like I said, I don't talk about this, and it's not like I avoid talking about it. I just don't. For me, I don't have no reason I feel like to talk about it. But maybe, it will help somebody else, and maybe somebody else will open up If you've been quiet about it, you know, I don't sit there and claim PTSD, none of that. And I know there's people that majorly deal with that. I have friends that do, you know, but there is things that can happen that everyone else around here is not going to understand unless you've been there, you know. Because I literally felt like I almost lost a brother. Like, I was surprised at that feeling. Like, I even questioned myself, why are you feeling like this? You know, he wasn't related to you. You didn't know him that good. You haven't known him that long. But it was like a part of the family. I think people can understand that, but it just felt like someone part of the family. I climbed up the Connex that we hung a flag. I had my flag hanging that day. Anyways, I got up to the top of the Connex where we made our little makeshift flag stand and put the flag at half-mast, you know, to show respect to those that lost their life that day on July 4th, 2013. And I can honestly say that I really do look at the flag a lot different today than I used to. And I remember looking at the flag that day and just thinking of a lot of things, you know, thinking of my family and wanting to be home with them, thinking about my girls, thinking, you know, I'm not with them. You know, you want to be with them. It's like, you just, a lot of emotions go on, you know, you want to hold your daughter, your kid, your two little girls, you want to hold your wife, you know, you want to tell people, your friends and family, that you love and appreciate them. So later, we had the hero ceremony there that day. We stood in formation as they brought the soldier out, draped, in, you know, in a body bag, and he had the flag draped over him. And we gave the salute, and I was wearing my sunglasses, and tears were streaming down my cheeks. I couldn't help it, you know. It was just part of something. To think somebody sacrificed their life for me, you know. And we here in the States, we don't see the gun shooting. We don't see the explosions. We don't hear the IEDs. We don't hear the rockets of the mortars coming in to the FOBs, you know. We don't see that. When you're there and see that, you understand, you know, on a whole nother level. And we presented arms for the KIA, this young man, 24 years old. I didn't want to make this video lengthy and bore anybody by talking, but I've watched a lot of people die in my medevac job at home. I'm a medevac helicopter pilot. And I've seen a lot of people die on the way to the hospital, and I can tell you, it never affected me like that affected me. You know, I never had the heart-crushing feeling. It was not the same. To see your brother in arms escorted off the battlefield, knowing he sacrificed his life to his final resting place back in the States, was very, very heart-wrenching. So that's pretty much the end of that story for this story, but I can tell you, at the end of that day, I felt so much closer to my fellow comrades, to the fellow soldiers. It was a whole other level of respect for each other and closeness that we felt after we were all unloading those patients and working together, doing chest compressions, and I mean, literally just working on people and trying to save people's life. It brought us together, it brought a closeness together. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that day. And, you know, you learn to love your family more, appreciate life more, appreciate your friends more, appreciate church more, and your love for God. You begin to think a lot of things, and you begin to think about, you know, what God did for us and how he sacrificed his life. And you just look at things a whole lot different, a whole lot way. And I'm thankful, you know, that God made that sacrifice for me and died for me. And you know what? The Bible says that no greater love hath any man than this, than a man laid down his life for his friends. And I can tell you, I've experienced that and I've seen that. And it's a pretty amazing thing. And it's pretty amazing that someone can do that for you and I. And I'm thankful for my freedom today. And I did, if you guys are interested, I did a deployment video of some of that stuff. And I've showed the pictures throughout this video. But I'll put a little tag or a card or link to that video right here if you guys want to check that out. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, I'll put a link right here that you can click on and subscribe to my channel for more videos. And that's it. If you like this video, let me know that you want more of these Afghanistan stories, and I'll keep it on. If not, that's it. So thanks for watching. See you later.